Really simple, doesn't cost you anything. Even that subscriber side over there, if you don't want to be bothered with notifications, and trust me, it's no bother. When I get them, it's every once in a while. Hey, when you're going live, I want to check out my friends that are broadcasting. So hit that subscribe button as well. That way, when you do have time to hop on YouTube, you can see our latest videos. You'll see the latest posts that we have up there, the latest shorts that we have up there. We're starting to do what Ben calls piecing out the buffalo, where we slice up and butcher what we've got over here if we don't butcher the show already live, right? Ha, 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 ha. But anyway, we slice up the show, get it out there for you, and you can follow us on a few different platforms, apolitical talk shows on a plethora of podcasting platforms to triple my P's there. We really appreciate you listening live as well on the WRMN 1410 airwaves and, of course, WRMN1410.com. So to put that in a big old sandwich, that's the way to go. Find all of that information there on the WRMN1410.com website. We're talking about legislation that sits on the books, and maybe it does need to be reiterated. Maybe it's just common sense that's there. You would think that, hey, you shouldn't be, let me find it. Where did it go? It was the, not the voting rights one. Which one did we talk about there, Benjamin? We talked about the voting rights one, of everybody being able to vote, regard the 15th Amendment, and people getting around that. Yeah, wouldn't it be common sense to not discriminate on there? It says don't discriminate. You would think it's there. So maybe you got to clarify a little bit more. So I think the next one, Ben, is we did the flag laws as well, right? There was one point that we were like, hey, people are accidentally desecrating the flag. It's like, you may think that you're doing a good job, but like, hey, that's like really disrespectful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you're talking in a legal sense, actually from 1968 to 1990, it was the original law, the Flag Protection Act of 1968, prohibited the desecration of the U.S. flag. And then reiterated by Congress that now it's periodically been debated or passed in Congress, new resolutions to protect the flag, even after the Supreme Court invalidated the Flag Protections Act in 1989 and 90 as unconstitutional under the First Amendment. So it's more kind of like we were talking about last half hour. The attempts are serving a symbolic purpose, reaffirming patriotism, or that kind of thing, rather than actually filling the legal gaps.
Yeah, they're not laws; they're more like guidelines on how to treat the flag.
Just throwing it out into the universe again. And Congress says, like, just its legs on the bed, you know.
And honestly, I'm glad that they re-looked at it. Like, you know what I mean? It from 1968 all the way to, what was it, 1989 or so. It was illegal. You couldn't burn it. You couldn't do anything like that. And then they turned around and said, okay, well, this is my First Amendment right to do it. So I'm glad that they looked at that law again and then turned around and said for freedom of speech. Now, when you say freedom of speech to burn flags, you're also turning around and saying, hey, it's legal to burn flags. Are you okay with that? Like, now you're back to that vote. You're back to that performance side of it. Is, oh, look at Ben, he voted to burn flags. He voted to burn flags. But then you get to turn around and say, well, I voted for the First Amendment. Oh, so it's how you frame it on that side.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's just like I'm saying, you know, this isn't a campaign advertisement. It's a water bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
and I don't know. It gets to that point where we know. So let's look at laws logically, right? It's kind of hard to do with this amoebus thing that goes on. But politics, you think about how tumultuous politics are, as I butcher that word. it's just turbulent all the time, left, right, swinging in this, what's the economic times, and things like that. Laws are the on the books reflection of our politics.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think about how crazy that is. Think about taking a Picasso, something that's there, and completely changing it into another medium and say, okay, now capture the beauty of the Picasso. Thanks, Dean. Have a good night. Capture the beauty of the Picasso in a meme format. Ready, go. Don't show Picasso though.
Yeah.
So it's that, okay, we got to take this craziness of everybody's ideals, which again, Nietzsche says that we should stumble over to even describe to begin with, and then turn around and say, okay, put our amoebus ideas that we all collectively came together and kind of agree on, put those into words so that we might be able to agree on the words. So I understand why you go back to visit a law. And honestly, I'm a big fan of sundowning laws, whether you put an end on it or you put a mandatory relook back on. I think, who was it? Rick Scott and a bunch of other libertarians side of it, Ron Paul, a couple other people like that, are like, all laws should have that a sundowning type of thing to it. And if it's important enough to keep, then you repass it.
Yeah, the argument for that would be like settled laws, you know, things that obviously it's not doesn't make any sense, like, you know, either scientifically or medically. For the purpose of the last argument, the First Amendment already kind of grants you this protection type of stuff, is what I would say. So yeah, as far as because you're talking about reset me real quick on this.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the laws that are
sundowning law. Well, some laws, I mean, obviously, like, just need to be set in stone. You know.
Well, and then there you go. You put an amendment on it.
Yeah, that is the thing about democracy, and I guess our government is it's always just going to be like kind of that. You put a stamp on it, put a sticker over this.
Because that's where I always thought it was. Like, if we have a law for so long, like if we have a law that's been on the books for 50 years that everybody agrees on, that we all put it together. And I'm not just talking about Roe. Don't construe what I'm doing. There's EPA stuff, there's Federal Reserve stuff, there's a whole bunch of laws that we just keep on the books of, just like the antitrust laws and things like that, like that have been here for cornerstones of America, then to turn around and say, okay, you've been a law long enough, why don't we just make this an amendment now? Why don't we just move this a little bit further and codify it and say, okay, here you go. This is part of American culture so much that we should put the amendment forward on it.
Here's my question with, because you hear that all the time, should have codified this, codified Roe, and all that stuff. Is there anything out there that actually is truly codified, as in
anything that is an amendment? Anything that is an amendment right now, you codify it into that side of it and say, okay, here it is. Because that there's nothing else for it. You have to like really work hard to get rid of an amendment. Now, what the Supreme Court does, and this is kind of despicable on every single time the Supreme Court does it, is the Supreme Court is supposed to interpret the Constitution. So if you write an amendment to the Constitution, they then have to interpret that new part of the Constitution. And if you specifically lay out things like the president is not a king, which that amendment is getting pushed through, the no king, well, even then the no king's law and no king's bill is starting to go through. I don't necessarily know where it's going to go, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere now that the Republicans have taken over the Congress and the legislative side. And arguably, they have the judicial side too. So, but that's where if you put that amendment in there, like even though the annulments clause is still in the Constitution, nobody seems to care about that. So it really depends back onto who's enforcing the law. If you're not enforcing a law, then there is no law. It just, how many times can you jaywalk in front of a police officer? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it is, how many times can you swerve a little bit off the line, right? If I'm not driving necessarily straight, but I only swerve over the line once, it's still illegal for me to swerve over the line.
Mm-hmm.
Is it being enforced? Well, it depends on how egregious, et cetera, back to it. Then it has to be prosecuted and judged. So you already have two levels before you can even like serve any kind of sentencing. I mean, other than like karma,
Right.
But that's where the levels come in for it. So this is where that legislative process has those checks and balances, and good on the people who have that flow. Like what's supposed to happen is when you win all the seats, you win both both sides of Congress and the executive, you should be pumping, saying, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go, full steam ahead. If you can have a filibuster proof one, then even better. And this is where the rubber meets the road of, okay, you have every single thing lined up for you to be in charge. Not anybody else. Now you can say, look, they gave me a hard time about it. Okay, cool. Republicans have been giving Democrats a hard time. Democrats have been giving Republicans a hard time for a while. But you're in the driver's seat. So these laws that you're going to make or change or sundown or executive orders that change or people that you're going to put in charge, that's you now. There's no like, oh, Joe Biden did this. Like you don't have that no more. And this is where it's a sink or swim moment for this next president, for Trump. That's going to be the biggest side of it, is what laws are they going to come back on? There's already executive orders that are going to be pulled. There's already executive orders that are going to come back. Title F, or how they have the federal government workers scheduled, to where they can be hired and fired based on the political side of everything. Schedule F, I think, is what it's called. So now all the way down to the bean counter that's been working there for 35 years can now be popped right out. Matt, okay, new administration. Bye, buddy. It's like, well, wait a minute. I'm the only guy who knows where like everything is. Okay, cool. Well, now Jerry does. Tell Jerry what to do.
Yeah.
well, hold on a second. It's just back to that side of it.
Very what happened to Twitter-esque.
It's very true. So that's part of it. And I look, like I said, I'm going to be the guy who's cheering on the pilot. I don't want us to crash. I don't want us to have a hard time, because that affects me. I'm on the bus. I'm on the plane. I'm on the boat. Whatever you want to do, I'm riding next to you all. And why should I sit here and just root for this guy to fail? No, absolutely not. But I will hold people accountable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'm not going to root for you to fail, but if you're having a hard time, I'm going to be like, hey, about that thing. It's what's up here. And so that's what I look forward to this administration is now, as some people say, the guardrails are removed, as the Republicans say, the wishy-washy millie mouths are all removed. So this is it, full steam ahead on everything. It's remarkably close to Project 2025, which is something that I was told isn't a thing. Yeah. Especially when you appoint a guy who wrote a chapter in that book. Yeah. I don't know. I was told something else, but you're told lots of things.
We talk about difference in campaign and post election. And that's definitely one of them. You're going to start seeing, the lies being unveiled. So.
Yep. Well, and we'll see it. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, if you're going to turn around and say, okay, well, getting rid of the Department of Education. I'm pretty sure that's a chapter. What was it? Appointing the guy who wrote the chapter about the border security to be the guy in charge of the border security. The Schedule F that I was talking about, where you can take all of the federal employees and change them to be political appointees. Also a chapter in there. So that's already a hat trick of Project 2025. So, I mean, somebody wants to tell me I'm wrong, gladly sit through the 900 pages with you. And most of the way through, it's pretty boring.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot like reading a Stephen King book backwards of just like, it's a big word. Why was that in there? Okay, wait a minute. So anyway, back to the laws that are there in the last couple minutes that we have together, at least with me. Ben's going to be taking you over here at the 5 o'clock hour. Headlines and phone lines coming up. Let's look at another one, the equal pay laws. As far as 1963, buddy, it was prohibited for wage discrimination based off of gender for jobs requiring equal skill, effort, and responsibility.
Makes a
It's
lot of
already
sense.
illegal, right?
Yeah.
So if there is a pay gap, wait, what happened? But that's where it's back to, hey, yeah, it is illegal, but there are certain things to turn around and say, okay, well, men work more than women. On average, men, I think, have another 10 extra hours of overtime a week than women do. And you can pull up whatever statistic you want to, but at the end of the day, there is a wage gap. There's also the pink tax, but we can work on the pink tax some other time. But this is where the reiteration for the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act of 2009. It extended the time frame for filing wage discrimination lawsuits by resetting the clock with each discriminatory paycheck. So if you started a job and they underpaid you, and they've been underpaying you and underpaying you and underpaying you, when you go for wage discrimination, according to the Equal Pay Act of 1963, this Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act goes all the way back to the first check that they messed up, but you have as much time to file in the statute of limitations up to the last paycheck that they gave you. So if you find out a year or so later that you were paid less than somebody else doing the same job, you can then turn around and file for that discrimination. So it's there. The law is still on the books. They added an extra avenue to get the thing done, or laid out the pathway to get the thing done. And this is where rechecking our laws and having account of our laws get away from us, buddy. And every time, Ben, every time you take away a law or a right from somebody else, you're taking it away from yourself.
Hear, hear.
Every single time. So let's get rid of some of these laws, man. Let's get back to common sense.
I'd agree.
Yeah. The 1950s and 60s seemed like one of those times for a lot of change. I hope the 2020s are going to be that same way. Maybe 2030s, maybe the 30s.
One way I do look at this administration is one way or another. It's going to look different after this term. So
It's true.
if that's it's going to be an opportunity for change. Either way, either back to more normal or, it's going to be different. So
I think it's going to be incumbent President Vance running against whoever the Democrats put up against.
yeah, that's the real.
I'll call it
extra
right
years.
now. Like that's really what it is.
Sure.
I think the 25th Amendment is going to be pulled in this
Oh wow.
administration.
Okay.
I do think somebody at some point is going to be like, look, man, we gotta knock this guy off of the top. Like not like knock him out to where he's gone forever, but like we need to not have him in charge anymore.
It's been looking like that. Like there's been definitely a rift and a pushback within that side.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be incumbent president J.D. Vance running against let's put a person, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
If I had to put money on it, you're like, hey man, $5.
A fun long shot there.
Right now, that would be it. It would be
that would have good returns. Go talk to the Poly Market guy. He might be
who was rated.
He got a new phone number. Yeah.
Who was rated, by the way? Did you see that? I hope you hit that in the headlines. Dude was rated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about it.
Like Mike Lindell rated. Like I mean, not like at a drive-through or nothing. His house was rated.
Yeah, when it comes to talk about just like the wrong optics.
And they made, what was it, $3 billion? My goodness. There's a News Nation thing on there if you want it. But that was it. That was what we wanted to talk about for some legislation Thursday here on WRMN. That's WRMN 1410, WRMN1410.com. Tune in for the rest of the hour. Next hour, we've got Ben coming in for headlines while he opens up the phone lines. Jump in. I like listening to it while I'm driving east over there, Wagons East towards school. I'm actually helping them put their stations together. I'm going to be meeting with some people on Monday to see what their stations want to do.
That's fun.
So we'll see. Get some students around here. More WRMN to come, like always. The very next hour, we got more stuff, and then more stuff after that. It just keeps going. Thanks for listening. Good luck, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Get ready to run with Dick Pond Athletics in St. Charles, where runners and walkers have found their perfect fit for over 50 years. Whether you're just starting your fitness journey or training for that next big race, we've got everything you need. Since 1969, we've been helping everyone from beginners to world champions solve their foot issues. As America's oldest running and walking shoe store, we carry all the top brands like Hoka, Nike, Brooks, On, Asus, New Balance, and North Face. The gear you trust, the gear that works. But we don't stop at just providing the right gear. Our experienced staff will help you find the perfect fit and teach you how to use it in one of our many free run-walk classes. We're here to keep you moving and healthy with expert advice and personalized service. And don't miss incredible savings in our clearance section, perfect for making your fitness journey even more affordable. Dick Pond Athletics. Let's hit the ground running.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 5 o'clock.
With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Kernan. Brought to you by Linzess. Naperville residents have a new shopping experience in town. The Fresh Market opening its doors yesterday at 204 South Route 59, with the grand opening welcoming more than 500 guests on the first day. The new market is located at the former location of Dick's Sporting Goods. In Kane County, 9 complaints emerged on Election Day, with about half linked to unauthorized electioneering. These issues were channeled through the new dedicated hotline designed for the general election to uphold voting integrity. Kane County State's Attorney Jamie Mosser praising the rapid response of assistant state's attorneys and local law enforcement in addressing these issues. In Kane County, a contentious budget approval occurred, with the board sanctioning a $416.6 million budget for 2025. The decision reached by a narrow 13-10 vote. With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Kernan.
Shop early, save big all month long during Black Friday build-up at Lowe's. Right now, get select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees starting at just $59.98. Don't wait to save. Shop these deals today, in-store or online, because Lowe's knows deals. Discount taken at time of purchase while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Not to brag, but Progressive's Name Your Price tool is mankind's greatest tool ever. Even better than the wheel. Sure, without the wheel, we wouldn't have modern transportation or funny videos of dogs riding skateboards. But without the Name Your Price tool, we wouldn't have easy access to auto insurance options based on our budget. And, well, cars do need wheels. They also need insurance, and insurance never goes flat. Learn more about the greatest tool ever, the Name Your Price tool at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Businesses come in all shapes and sizes. Integrity doesn't. For more than a century, the Better Business Bureau has set the standards for how businesses should operate honestly and ethically. So when you're looking for a business you can trust, check to see who's BBB accredited and who isn't. Always choose the Better Business. Look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
Rise and shine, Fox Valley listeners. It's time to kickstart your day with First Shift with Marky B on WRMN 1410 AM. From 6 to 9 a.m., join the chatter that gets you clued in with the latest buzz around town. Don't just sip on your coffee. Let Marky B brew your morning with the perfect mix of news, views, and moves. Dial us in or live stream at WRMN1410.com and make your mornings a whole lot brighter. WRMN 1410 AM. We're the voice of the Valley, and we're here to talk.
This is WRMN News. For a local focus, I'm Ben Boquist. The Olmec Origins exhibit opens at the Gale Borden Library. The exhibit, which features 33 fiberglass reproductions of the mysterious Olmec heads, will run on both floors of the library at 270 North Grove Avenue until mid-January 2025. Also at the Gale Borden Library on Saturday, November 16th, a session on obtaining funding for a person with a disability. An AMI, NAMI, Kane County North affiliate, is sponsoring a free session on how to be successful in obtaining funding for a person with a disability. It'll be at the Gale Borden Library, 270 North Grove Avenue, November 16th at 1 p.m. This event will be in the Elgin Room on the second floor.
Hello, I'm Dennis Green. Now, former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz is President-elect Trump's choice for Attorney General. Connecticut Democrat Senator Chris Murphy says he's concerned about the pick.
This feels like a red alert moment for democracy. There were a lot of people, both my colleagues in the Senate and voters in this country, who didn't believe Trump when he said that he was going to turn the Department of Justice into an arm of the White House.
Just hours after being tapped for the Attorney General nomination, Gaetz submitted his immediate resignation from the House. A House Ethics Committee investigation into accusations of sexual misconduct have effectively ended after he stepped down. For WRMN News, I'm Dennis Green.
WRMN News, produced in Studio 14 by the River Media Network.
This is McGruff the Crime Dog, and I need you to help me take a bite out of crime. Counterfeit products are popping up everywhere. Fake sneakers, fake cosmetics, and even fake pills. Crooks are selling counterfeit versions of just about everything. Last year, billions of dollars worth of counterfeit products were sold in the U.S. Sure, it may seem like saving a few bucks on the things you want isn't a big deal, but counterfeits are usually made in unsafe conditions, potentially using hazardous and even lethal ingredients that could harm you and others. And the money you've paid, it goes right into the hands of criminals and may support child labor, drugs, and even gangs. Smells like big crime to me. So if you still think buying fake products is harmless, think again. And remember, if you don't know where the products came from, how could you know where the money goes? You're smart, buy smart. Go for real. Learn more at mcgruffpsa.org. This message is brought to you by the United States Patent and Trademark Office and the National Crime Prevention Council.
And welcome back to a political talk show right here on 1410 WRMN AM. That's 1410 WRMN AM, WRMN1410.com. You can find us on YouTube at WRMN Radio. All that good stuff. This is a political talk show you're listening to every Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. here. We've got 12 hours of content every day, starting with the first shift at 6 in the morning with Marky B, holding it down, all the first shifters. Appreciate all the interactions with the station and all that good stuff that comes from that show. Also, we've got Out to Lunch with Matt McNeil, rolling right into Talk Time with Tammy and Friends. Of course, we got Mike Horn in the 1 p.m. hour. You can hear some awesome food, some culinary talk, some travel stuff. Who doesn't love all that stuff? I know I sure love some culinary arts. If there's an art out there that I appreciate most, it would be food art. So shouts out to them. Talk Time with Tammy and Friends right before this show, the Fox Valley Afternoons, leading right into a political talk show, which you're listening to right now by Sonar. Have a great trip out to Illinois Media School to teach those students, the next generation of broadcasters, how to get it done. Like we were talking about last hour, the Poly Market CEO has been raided, the founder. So we'll talk about that. Phone lines are open, 847-931-1410. Give me a call. However you want to interact with the show. You can also find us streaming live on YouTube right now, WRMN Radio. Here's the article from The Guardian. The FBI raids the home and seizes phone for Poly Market founder. Shane Coplin calls the incident, quote, discouraging, as the firm suggests the raid was retaliation for the site's users betting on Donald Trump. The FBI raided the home of chief executive and the predictive betting site Poly Market and seized his phone late on Wednesday. Shane Coplin, the 26-year-old CEO, said to the company he woke early on Wednesday morning to Manhattan and federal agents in his home. The New York Post first reported Coplin himself was not arrested, the company said. On X, formerly Twitter, Coplin wrote Wednesday evening, "New phone, who dis?" Funny tweet. Poly Market claimed the raid was retaliation for its users betting overwhelmingly that Donald Trump would win the election. The site displayed a large chance of Trump winning before the election, giving Kamala Harris a minimal one, out of line with most mainstream polls. He went on to say, it's discouraging that the current administration would seek a last-ditch effort to go after companies they deem to be associated with political opponents. We're deeply committed to being nonpartisan, and today is no different, but the incumbents should do some self-reflecting and recognize that making a more pro-business, pro-startup approach may be what would have changed their fate this election. The Department of Justice is investigating Poly Market for allegedly allowing U.S.-based users to bet on the site. Bloomberg News reported on Wednesday evening, Poly Market users can place bets on the outcome of yes or no questions that range widely in subject. Fortune reported the week before the election that the site was rife with wash trading, an illegal type of market manipulation. Poly Market told media outlets, quote, "This is obvious political retribution by the outgoing administration against Poly Market for providing a market that correctly called the 2024 presidential election. Poly Market is fully transparent prediction market, a fully transparent prediction market that helps everyday people better understand the event that matter most to them, including elections. Making bets and predictions on Poly Market is not allowed in the U.S., though users can circumvent the prohibition via virtual private networks, or VPNs. A week ago, the company announced it would resume operation in the U.S. The company had paid $1.4 million fine to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission in 2022 for failing to register with the agency as required and was forced to pause trading at the same time. The FBI did not immediately respond to a request for comment to The Guardian. When no reason for the raid was given publicly, powerful figures in the technology industry came to Coplin's defense. The CEO of Coinbase, the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the U.S., decried the raid, Brian Armstrong wrote on X, "This will backfire. They just made Polymarket even more powerful." Elon Musk, the richest man in the world and one of the president-elect's closest advisors, wrote, quote, "This seems messed up." In response to the news, Copland himself has been photographed with Donald Trump Jr. and claimed last week to have fielded calls from the president-elect's Mar-a-Lago resort as votes were counted. So, yeah, take it that way you will, make of it what you will. It seems like some obvious targeting going on. And you know what? We've heard all this stuff about betting on elections and all that craziness. And, why not? Just do it. Let people vote on elections. Why not? We've talked about it before. Apparently, it's one of those gray areas where you can apparently you technically do it congressionally. I think there was a story we just covered not too long ago about that. But interestingly enough, that's what the current admin really wants to focus on, which, it's just bad optically. I mean, we've talked about how when you bring up all these cases and all this stuff, and now it's just being kind of shut down. It's really ridiculous at the end of the day. If you're gonna use the resources to do the raid and all this stuff, and then just nothing will come of it. It's a weird step, and it seems like a retributive, salty move by the last acts of the whoever's going to get replaced. So annoying, but that's the real news that's happening. The FBI raided the CEO of the company, Polymarket, which was taking bets with political verbiage, let's say. It's one of those gray areas. So yeah, kind of just at a loss for what this means for me personally. Do I care that the guy who set up all the election betting? And honestly, I know I just said, sure, make betting on the election legal, but like that was more of a flippant, like, how are we even at this point where that's a question? But it's rat race. It's full on rat race. The real life version of it, that old movie. So there's a bunch of news headlines we're going to get through this hour here. I'm going to go to a silly one here, just to paint a picture. Paint a little picture here. From APnews.com, insurers say a bear that damaged luxury cars was actually a person in a costume. California has seen its share of bears breaking into cars, but bears caught on camera entering the luxury cars tipped off insurers that something wasn't quite right. In what's dubbed Operation Bear Claw, the California Insurance Department said four Los Angeles residents were arrested Wednesday, accused of defrauding 3 insurance companies out of nearly $142,000 by claiming a bear had caused damages to their vehicles. The group is accused of providing video footage from the San Bernardino Mountains in January of a, quote, bear moving inside a Rolls-Royce and 2 Mercedes. The insurance companies, as part of their damage claims, the department said photos provided by the insurance department show what appeared to be scratches on the seats and doors. The company viewing the video from the Rolls-Royce suspected that it was not a bear inside, but someone in a bear costume. Detectives found 2 additional claims and 2 different insurance companies for the 4 with the same date of the loss in the same location. A similar video was provided of the, quote, bear inside the Mercedes vehicle. It was not immediately known if the 4 people arrested had attorneys or they were representing themselves in bear court. The department had a biologist from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife review the 3 videos who concluded it was clearly a human in a bear suit, the insurance department said. After executing a search warrant, detectives found the bear costume in the suspect's home. The department said, "What happened to costume rental?" It used to be an industry. We used to be a real country where you could rent a bear costume for, whatever purposes you may have. And, you'd give it back after the weekend and not have to have this be encumbered by the bear costume for the rest of your days. But here we are. You're hearing it here first. You need to buy those bear costumes outright. No one will rent them. Maybe they'll start renting that thing out, pay their bail. Bears breaking into homes or trash cans in search of food have become a problem in California, from Lake Tahoe to Sierra, down to the foothill suburbs of Los Angeles, where some of these have been known to raid refrigerators and take dips in backyard pools and hot tubs. Well, yeah, maybe they should have just made cute videos like that and gone viral, but instead they wanted to defraud insurance agencies. So I guess more power to you. I'm looking at it. It looks like a pretty realistic bear costume. So I don't know. It must have been. I love how they brought a geological environmentalist person, not geological, but you know what I'm talking about, and probably ecological expert to go and tell them like that's not the weight distribution of a bear. I guess like that's pretty funny. So I hope that tickled your fancy as it did mine. There's a whole bunch of other funny, fun, great, cool news that we're going to get to here. We got 10 minutes left in this hour. I'm going to throw it to a quick break right here to get set on that. You're listening to Apolitical Talk Show. Thanks so much. I'm Ben. Be taking you through the top of this hour with headlines and phone lines. Give me a call, 847-931-1410. And welcome back to a political talk show right here on WRMN 1410, WRMN1410.com, and WRMN Radio on YouTube. Thanks so much for listening, watching, calling 847-931-1410 to make your voice heard. Let us know your opinions. Thanks to my mom for reminding me that it's National Pickle Day. She said happy National Pickle Day. You could go ahead and comment me too. Well, make sure you like and subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll get a notification every time we go live, which is several times throughout the day, the 12-hour clock that we have live programming right here on WRMN 1410, Elgin's Talk of the Town. And we're going to roll through some headlines here. And also, we've got the phone lines open. I'm going to read this story real quick here. And you know what? Actually, we're just going to go to the phones. We only got 5 minutes till the bottom of the hour here. We'll do that. All right, we're on the phone lines now. I see Cleveland Dennis out there. Cleveland Dennis, how are you doing?
Hi, good, thank you. And I'm glad you took the call, because the other day I called, I got preempted by some Australian caller.
Yes.
But, yeah, so I won't talk about that unless I can remember it. But I think one of your last stories, and you said it was kind of silly. I thought the first story about the betting was silly.
Yeah.
The government wasting our tax dollars, doing what they're doing with that betting scheme. But were they betting money?
Yep.
How does that window make money from that? Is it just the way they place the odds? I don't quite understand it, because they could have listened to me when I was on the show, I think with you and Ben late night, or at least, with you and Sonar. But I predicted who was going to win. If they'd have listened to me, everybody'd be rich today, right?
There you go. Yeah, I think how they got away with it is they were betting on, it was like weirdly worded and like yes or no. I think a big thing was like, will a candidate reach this amount of electoral votes and stuff like that. So there was some workaround that made it okay for them to have the site. So yeah, I agree with you. It seems like kind of one of those petty moves.
Yeah.
But what do you think about dressing up in a bear costume for insurance fraud?
Well, on Halloween, I'll dress up as a politician, and I'll be weirdly worded, just like I saw on the ballots when we went to vote. What were some of those items on the ballot that they wanted us to vote on?
I feel like you got a point there. They throw a bunch of extra words in there to make it a kind of a word salad, and definitely the not the dictionary, but the thesauruses are out. So
right. You got to are you allowed to stand there and start looking up everything on your phone to figure out what they're talking about?
Yeah.
Who does that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just like this no bail law. Whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned, though, when I was announcing who I thought would win, would they come to my house to get me because I was involved with the betting somehow?
Right.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I'm enjoying the show, and if I have more, I'll be on later. But that's really all I got for now.
All right. Thanks, sir.
My call.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cleveland Dennis, always a pleasure to hear from you, sir. We'll do one more headline before the bottom of this hour. So, again, thanks for calling in.
Yep.
All right, everybody. That was Cleveland Dennis. Go ahead and call in 847-931-1410 to be a part of the show yourself. If you're a longtime listener, just started listening recently, we'll bring you headlines and open up the phone lines to hear what you think about them. Here's a quick one. A teen serial swatter behind hundreds of hoax threats across the U.S. pleads guilty. Let's see. The serial swatter for profit and entertainment he made more than 375 swatting threat calls to federal officials say. It's just, I don't mean to laugh, but that's the people. I think the number one thing that kids want to be these days is an influencer. Like that's categorically what kids want to be. So to think that this guy was just following his dreams, 18 when he was charged, though, so not like the Offspring song. In one of the most prolific swatting cases ever prosecuted, a teenage serial swatter pleaded guilty Wednesday to making hoax threats to schools, religious institutions, and government officials about mass shootings and bombings across the country. The 18-year-old of Lancaster, California, pleaded guilty to 4 counts of making interstate threats. The Justice Department said this guy faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison for each charge, federal prosecutors say. We've got a real Frank Abagnale on our hands, it seems like. A lot more important or, worse of a thing to do than travel the world. But, man, yeah, I think they're probably going to throw the book at this kid, much like they did Teixeira that we saw yesterday. So, dumb thing to do. Don't swat people. Pretty much the worst thing that's changed about our society is that's like a thing that happens now. It's up there. Not saying it's the worst. Don't put that on me. Give us a call for the rest of this half hour. I'm Ben, taking you through the hour of it on Apolitical Talk Show right here on WRMN 1410. We'll be right back. This is WRMN News. For a local focus, I'm Ben Boquist. The Olmec Origins exhibit opens at the Gale Borden Library. The exhibit, which features 33 fiberglass reproductions of the mysterious Olmec heads, will run on both floors of the library at 270 North Grove Avenue until mid-January 2025. Also at the Gale Borden Library on Saturday, November 16th, a session on obtaining funding for a person with a disability. An AMI, NAMI, Kane County North Affiliate, is sponsoring a free session on how to be successful in obtaining funding for a person with a disability. It'll be at the Gale Borden Library, 270 North Grove Avenue, November 16th at 1 p.m. This event will be in the Elgin Room on the 2nd floor.
Hello, I'm Dennis Green. Now, former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz is President-elect Trump's choice for Attorney General. Connecticut Democrat Senator Chris Murphy says he's concerned about the pick.
This feels like a red alert moment for democracy. There were a lot of people, both my colleagues in the Senate and voters in this country, who didn't believe Trump when he said that he was going to turn the Department of Justice into an arm of the White House.
Just hours after being tapped for the Attorney General nomination, Gaetz submitted his immediate resignation from the House. A House Ethics Committee investigation into accusations of sexual misconduct have effectively ended after he stepped down. For WRMN News, I'm Dennis Green.
WRMN News, produced in Studio 14 by the River Media Network.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 800-699-9043.
Thanks for listening to WRMN 1410. Don't forget to join us every day for our Comfort Keepers feature. Comfort Keepers is a leading provider of in-home non-medical care for seniors and other adults in need of assistance with daily activities. Again, listen daily at 7:25 a.m. for our Comfort Keepers feature. And thanks for listening.
Take your family out or meet up with a friend for breakfast, lunch, or dinner at the Elgin IHOP, located at 101 Randall Road by the theater. They're open for dining 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Stop in at 3 p.m. for happy hour with discounted meal deals for early birds starting at just $6. You can choose from breakfast choices like the pancake sundaes or juicy burgers or maybe a classic burrito bowl. Check out the menu at ihop.com today.
And welcome back to A Political Talk Show right here on 1410 WRMN. You can find us at WRMN1410.com. You can find us at youtube.com/@WRMN Radio. You can find me, Ben Boquist, at my Substack, benboquist.substack.com. Get my fun, cheeky movie reviews. I'm lagging on those, and I'm going to start a weekly, maybe twice a weekly, however often I feel it, but at least weekly Substack column where I'm just breaking down stuff politically. It'll be called The Date and then something quippy. And appreciate your listenership right here on WRMN 1410. I'm Ben, taking you through this bottom to the top of the hour of A Political Talk Show. We'll start with this story from the Hill. Durbin demands House Ethics Panel share Gates report with Senate panel. So Illinois Senator Dick Durbin, chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, urged the House Ethics Committee to preserve and share its report from former Representative Matt Gaetz after President-elect Donald Trump tapped the Florida Republican to serve as Attorney General. After Trump announced a surprising nomination Wednesday, House Speaker Mike Johnson announced Gaetz had resigned, effective immediately, essentially killing the probe, which was investigating whether Gaetz engaged in sexual misconduct and illicit drug use, among other allegations. Durbin called on the Ethics Committee to share the report with his Senate Judiciary Committee in a statement Thursday. He went on to say, the sequence and timing of Mr. Gates' resignation from the House raises serious questions about contents of the House Ethics Committee report. We cannot allow this valuable information from a bipartisan investigation to be hidden from the American people. The statement read, quote, make no mistake, this information could be relevant to the question of Mr. Gates' confirmation as the next Attorney General of the U.S. and our constitutional responsibility of advice and consent. He continued, in a thread of posts on the social media platform X, Durbin emphasized his statement. Until Trump's announcement and Gates' subsequent resignation disrupted the plans, the Ethics Committee was set to meet this Friday to vote on whether to release the report. A source told the Hill Punchbowl News first reported the meeting. The source said the committee was supposed to meet during the last week of July to vote on releasing Gates' report. The vote cleared, the panel would have published the report after the congressman's August primary and before his November general election, abiding by the panel's election blackout rules. But the House left for recess early in July, interrupting the vote, the source said. So yeah, it's a little blurb out of this article, and I guess I'll just try to expand on it with what my thoughts and opinions are here. So Dick Durbin, the minority House Speaker, is that correct? I know at one point he was, but he's the guy that everybody is not House but Senate. So he is the guy that everyone's kind of pointing to as obviously that position itself is the mouthpiece for the party in so many ways, and really the looking to counteract the stuff, the things, and the overreach of the executive branch and what Trump's administration may or may not be trying to do in covering up things like this. And, from my perspective, the timing is pretty damning as far as, maybe just make this announcement specifically before they can proceed with this. So I'm happy to see this. A lot of people throw shade at Dick Durbin. Maybe he's always, in my opinion, he's always just kind of been that the redheaded stepchild of long-standing Illinois politicians. You had the Mike Madigan kind of bruiser running around doing the craziness that he's now being indicted for. And a lot of people, I guess, kind of respected that, it seemed like, in Illinois. And Durbin always kind of fell by the wayside. Durbin, not Dennis Hastert, Dick Durbin. What I guess I'm saying is we have kind of a low bar in Illinois. And maybe for, as in my opinion, as great of a serving senator as Dick Durbin has been, a lot of finger pointing about being inactive and kind of just the quiet guy, status quo on the left. I loved that he came out and said this. I thought it was poignant. If he let today pass without having that be said, I would say, what the hey, bro? That's something you should have brought up. And luckily he did, though. So the source said that the committee was supposed to meet during the last week of July. Oh, we already read that. I'm sorry. Trump's pick of Gates as Attorney General sent shockwaves throughout Washington. A source in the room where Republicans were waiting to start leadership elections at the same time said that there were audible gasps when Trump made the announcement. So yeah, you might remember the hilarious bad lip reading video that was out there. That's one of my favorite things kind of ever to have seen on the internet, I would have to say. If you haven't seen that, well, maybe when I take a break, I could get that up and check that out for you guys. If you haven't heard bad lip reading in general, just go check out that. Go YouTube bad lip reading, and you could have a little bit of fun. Dutchman's Woodshack says hi. Hey, what's up, Dutchman's Woodshack? What are you working on there? In the Woodshack. So, in continuing this article here, Durbin called out the Ethics Committee to share the report with his Senate Judiciary Committee in a statement Thursday. As we said before, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know why I felt the need to reread the title of the article there, but that is 100% what it is. The new AG looks to be Matt Gaetz, and the old AG, Merrick Garland, MAGA Merrick, apparently, wasn't able to do everything he wanted to do, or maybe he was and just didn't. I don't know. We're in a weird transition back to the Trump admin. So really, all bets are off, especially if you're Poly Market, because who knows if they're going to be around for the next election. I would think they are if the bias is really shifted towards the GOP. So I have an unfortunate story I'm sharing here. And, I want to just preface this. I don't want to, I'm not bringing this up to say, be sensational or be like TMZ or be anti law enforcement. I think there's just certain instances oh man, I'm watching the video. It's just horrific. There's instances, and unfortunately they're happening more and more, where everyone should agree that this should never, ever happen. Body cam video shows Oklahoma officer slamming a 71-year-old to the ground after a traffic stop. The police said, quote, there was use of force and an elderly man sustained serious injuries that required hospitalization. Body camera video shows an Oklahoma City police officer forcefully taking down and handcuffing a 71-year-old driver after a traffic stop last month. The driver was hospitalized with serious injuries, The officer was placed on administrative leave. Police said about the October 27th stop. Body camera video footage released by the police shows an officer whom police have not publicly identified stopping a driver for an illegal U-turn after a minor accident. There was a use of force and an elderly man sustained serious injuries that required hospitalization, police said in a statement. An investigation was immediately initiated, and the officer was placed on administrative leave pending the conclusion of the investigation. The incident will be presented to the Oklahoma County District Attorney's Office soon, and police are dedicated to transparency and accountability, the statement said. A representative for Oklahoma City Police declined additional comment Tuesday. Thuan Nguyen, a president of the Vietnamese American community of Oklahoma, identified the driver Tuesday as Leek Vu, 71, and said he remains in the hospital with a skull fracture. Relatives of Vu could not be reached for comment Tuesday. The body camera video shows an officer speaking to the driver with the door open, telling him he's writing a ticket for an improper U-turn. He said, I didn't U-turn, the driver's quoted as saying. The officer asked the man to sign the citation, explaining it's not an admission of guilt, but the contract, he'll take care of the citation later. The video shows him saying, quote, I don't know what you're talking about. The driver says, adding that his car was hit by another driver. Me, citation, she hit me, and I got the citation, he tells the officer. Then he gets out of the vehicle, and the officer tells him they're done arguing. Quote, we don't argue on the side of the road, the officer says, adding that if the driver doesn't sign the citation, he will go to jail. The driver responds, I'm ready to go to jail. The officer, apparently frustrated, calls the driver's statement ridiculous. The officer then briefly interacts with the woman who was given a ticket but told she was free to leave. The officer, according to the video, then calls for another unit. A second woman appears on the video and tells the officer that the driver is her husband and they didn't make a U-turn. The officer and the man continue to argue. The driver lifts an index finger up to his mouth as if gesturing the officer to be quiet. That's when the officer takes the man's hand and puts it behind his back and takes him to the ground. The officer handcuffs the man who is on his stomach with both hands behind his back. The video ends with the officer saying he's going to call an ambulance. Because if you saw the video, it sounded a lot like, a normal interaction. Obviously, the right thing to do is say, fine, I'll sign the citation and fight it in court because I didn't do a U-turn. You're not really going to win that argument, especially on the side of the road. But it goes without saying that there were ways to subdue this gentleman that were not picking him up and throwing him on his head. So it just comes down to you'll never see anybody argue on that side that there should be repercussions, or unfortunately it's one of those things. They need training. They need to mandate training. We talk about laws and updating laws and all that good stuff that goes along with regulation and that stuff. I've been saying this for years, that law enforcement officers should really be required to be trained in some type of takedown type of offense, be that judo or probably not judo, because that would mess some people's hips up too. But jiu-jitsu is probably the best thing. But that might be kind of a meat-headed solution to this. But what can you do? Obviously, it comes down to training and situational awareness. You're not wrestling some old confused person or someone who was legitimately improperly citationed. Sad story, but we'll cover this as it goes through. Again, administrative leave so far, and I hope that this is the kind of thing that no one likes to see, and it shouldn't be accepted. And there's really not much more to the story than that. I mean, Yeah. What I hate is that how it starts an argument with people. Like, no, there's obviously a gray area to where the driver could have made this a lot easier on himself. But at the end of the day, there's a power imbalance that that the cop seemed to acknowledge in the way that in the most brutal way that he could. It was that he was the strong guy, and he was going to take the old fellow who didn't want to get a citation down. So controversial, I know, but hey, it's a political talk show. We're just giving you the facts here and opinions. It's headlines and phone lines right now, 847-931-1410. I'm going to give you the first headline here, then take a phone call. The Onion buys conspiracy theory site InfoWars with plans to make it, quote, very funny and very stupid. The satirical news outlet The Onion has purchased InfoWars, the right-wing media platform run by the conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, at a court-ordered auction. So interesting. Think about that for a couple minutes here. We're going to take a phone call. I think we got Dutchman on the line. Dutchman, you there?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that with the police officer, that happened. Don't know why. Maybe he had a bad day, but I think his career is over.
Right. Yeah.
As a law enforcement person. But here's the thing. I mean, we have pretty good police department people. Yeah, there's some headstrong guys out there, but that's like that in every job. You know, you're going to get that. Nobody's perfect. We're humans, so that's just the way life is. You try to do the best training that you can. Unfortunately, law enforcement sometimes gets a bad rap from people like this. So
right.
I hope the guy gets straightened out. Maybe he's an alcoholic. If you're a first responder, which you're an emergency worker, now I'm probably going to sound like I'm giving the guy a break by saying that maybe he's stressed out, maybe he's had too much on the job or whatever. But there ought to be ways to relieve, the tensions. I don't see somebody that, the guy that he stopped being, somebody that's going to cause any trouble. I could see maybe being rough with a guy that's like in his 20s that's high on coke or something.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's, again, you have to get inside the head of the cop. Unfortunately, for him, he put somebody in the hospital and he didn't need to come to that. I mean, people just are like that. I've run across police officers. You basically keep your mouth shut and you don't say anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all have had that instance before. We get a ticket or something. I got a ticket one time for something, and the guy was headstrong with it. I asked him a simple question, what was it for? And, I got bitched at. And he was not in a good mood, and I just didn't say anything. I did what he said and went on my way, and it was fine.
Yeah.
So, whether you like it or not, they have authority and power over you, and you could make things worse by trying to fight it. You just fight it in court, and if that didn't work, well, you're better than ending up in the hospital like this senior had, so...
Yeah. The way I see it's
I mean, you guys have the police officers. I think you're chief on, your programs.
Oh yeah.
And I would kind of curious to see what they would say. And so the next time you have the chief on from Elgin there, put that out there at them and see what they would say. Because be honest with you, I think everybody in the Tri-Cities, Batavia, Geneva, St. Charles, and Elgin, and South Elgin seem to have a pretty good police force, and they do a pretty good job. I've never heard anybody complain about anything.
Same.
So
there are friends here on First Shift with Marky B Friday with the Finest. You could hear our local police chief and guests every Friday actually. So yeah, and they really don't shy away from stuff like this. I've heard them talk on multiple occasions of initiatives and other ways of policing and stuff like that. So yeah, we're lucky in this area for sure. And it's one of those things, like for me personally, it's like the time to argue against getting issued a ticket is before it gets issued to you, because like once it goes through the system, there's nothing you can do. I mean, if you if he was nice and said, like, I didn't do a U-turn, and he factually didn't, then the cop would be like, oh, dang, you're right. And then maybe, sometimes they don't show up to court or whatever the steps are to make sure that you don't get issued that ticket in the long run. A lot of cops are cool like that. So again, there's right ways to deal with the police. And then also, I think the focus on, like you said, I don't think that particular gentleman should be a cop anymore, because that's a bad thing. The guy's in the hospital. So it's never easy, but hey, thanks for getting on and having this convo with me. Did you hear about the Onion?
Well, good luck. What's that?
Did you hear the next headline about the Onion?
Yeah.
How about that? That's pretty, I thought that was pretty ironic and funny. It is a little weird
sometimes
too.
You got to take in, some of these other apps and other things you go on. You got to be careful what you read too, because a lot of it's focused on, sensationalism. So somebody said I was reading something off of one of the channels, one of the apps, and I forget what it was, but did you know so and so is dead? Like Kevin Costner was dead. No, I said it to my wife. She goes, "No, he's not." Yeah,
and then it's just satirical.
So,
wow.
This is where you got to backtrack some of this stuff. Again, okay, negative stuff. Everybody's throwing out negative stuff all the time, right? Yeah. Okay, so, they're picking on, like, for instance, the Bears are picking on Caleb because he's not performing, right? Well, duh. When you got no protection, what do you expect, Yeah. And then I'm listening to NASCAR because I'm a NASCAR guy. And they're complaining about the way the playoffs went off, and they didn't like nobody. There's this thing where a lot of people don't like certain drivers, so they were complaining about that. Him, because he won, he won the championship. But anyway, long story short, everybody today and every news media outlet and other things on apps, Twitter and whatnot, what's the one thing they're doing? They're all complaining. They're all complaining. I'd love to have a show sometimes where it's all politically motivated towards
like that.
Nice stuff.
That would be fun.
Nice stuff. Something good. Tell me stories about something that good that happened to somebody today. I tend to turn stuff off. Not your program, but I tend to turn stuff off. I don't watch the news anymore because it's all crap. It's all about taking Trump down. Well, that'll be 8 years now.
Right.
Well, it's 4 years and then 6 years. It'll be like, forever. They'll be talking about taking him down, and I'm just tired of hearing it. So anyway, I'll get off.
No, I appreciate your opinions.
Well, you don't want to
always.
get me started on that. I'm trying to be a positive, upbeat person and help people. And I just can't see. Wherever you go, it's like people all they want to do is complain. And it's like, where did we go wrong? 30 years ago, I didn't hear that. When I was growing up as a kid, nobody complained about anything. It was like nobody.
Well, I think
even 10 years ago wasn't that bad. Now all of a sudden with the internet, it's all about Twitter's all about bitching all the time. I don't know if I could say that, but it's just
cool.
Anyway, I'll get off. Thanks.
No, Dutchman, appreciate it all the time. And I think it's the thing that there's just so many more outlets for people to complain on. That's what these phones are for people. Interestingly enough, it's just a complaining device. A lot of people are uncomfortable. So, it is what it is. I don't think that'll change anytime soon. But interestingly enough, the InfoWars website is changing to The Onion. The satirical news outlet The Onion has purchased InfoWars, the right-wing media platform run by conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, at a court-ordered auction. The news was confirmed on Thursday morning in a video by Jones himself, as well as the head of The Onion's parent company. The Onion plans to rebuild the website and feature well-known internet humor writers and content creators. CEO Ben Collins confirmed this in a post on Blue Sky Thursday, writing, "The Onion will, with the help of Sandy Hook families, has purchased InfoWars. We are planning on making it very funny, very stupid website, and have retained the services of some Onion and Clickhole Hall of Famers to pull this off." Well, maybe we could work together too right here on Apolitical Talk Show on WRMN 1410. Thanks for listening, and continue to do so tomorrow. We'll be live 4 to 6.